Now, as to the second part, this one, I cannot yet give you my commitment as to kung kailan natin siya po pwedeng umpisahan, but hopefully magawa din natin yung ating second part because I am thinking of also dedicating my time to another group of audience. Yung mga ate kuya mo na nagre-review na na-postpone nga yung pangarap maging CPA, ang laki ng effect sa kanila nitong pandemic na to. Most especially din sa parents natin. Because akala nila yung mga ate kuya mo na makakapag-take na sana, na nag-review nung nakaraan, at syempre pagpasa, makakatulong na, magtatrabaho na sila, supposed to be. Ngayon wala. Aside from the postponement of their becoming a CPA, ngayon kailangan uli nilang mag-enroll sa review para hindi lumamig yung kanilang nalalaman, tuloy-tuloy hanggang mag-board exam sila. Sa ngayon, dahil puro online yung classes, ang daming naglipanan ng mga review centers. Thinking about that, okay, I've really been thinking, I think I would also like to extend some help to them by dedicating some of my time. Maybe I can help them somehow in my own little way by giving free online lectures also in connection, of course, with my subject, Management Advisory Services. So, para matulungan din natin yung mga ate kuya mo na supposed to be, tulad ng sabi ko, naghahanap buhay na sana, makakatulong na sa finances ng pamilya, wala Ang mangyayari ngayon, manghihingi pa uli ng pera sa mga parents natin kasi kailangan nilang mag-online review. So why not help them also? I've been thinking about that for the past few weeks already. Hello. Mic test, sound check. All right. Good evening. This is our first topic under our subject, Management Advisory Services. And so it is Managerial Accounting and the Business Environment. Do not get too excited about solving problems. We will get there when we get there. We must first take care of the theoretical portion of this first part before we go to the problem solving. This is not just for formality's sake. This is essential because it will lay down some of the foundations later on in our discussion. So we have to go through all of this. This is no longer undergrad, this is review. So I do not have to pep talk you every now and then. You being here means to say you have gone through a lot of things already. You know what is at stake. I will be doing all of this for you absolutely free. So when we discuss, you should make our time worthwhile. You must be very attentive and your attention must not be divided so that we'll not be wasting our time here. Again, I am your Sir Dave, and if you have been watching some of our videos before, most of those are not applicable to you. Those are mostly for high school students and first year college. So here, this is review already. I would be sharing to you not only our materials, not only our discussions on those materials, on these materials, but also my experiences in the review and in the actual CPA board exam as we go through all the topics until the end. I have been teaching the subject for more than a decade already. I don't know exactly how many years, but it's more than a decade already. I have been teaching the same subject over and over again. So I've had many experiences inside the classroom as well as many pointers that I can share to you even up to the board exam. I am here not just to teach you the concepts and the procedures, but also the different preparations that you can make in order to help you pass the CPA board exam. So after all, that is our objective. As I have said dun sa aking previous class, dun sa pinakahuling video ko, I think it's time to give back. Your desire to become a CPA has only been delayed, not canceled. Kaya kailangan magpupursige ka pa rin. We do not stop, not until you become a CPA. Yung pangarap natin na sana makatulong na tayo sa mga magulang natin, supposed to be as of now, kumikita ka na, nagtatrabaho ka na. Pero ang nangyari, because of the COVID-19 nga, na pandemic, wala tayong magagawa. And alam natin, some of you think, they must enroll sa mga online reviews para hindi lamigin yung kanilang nalalaman. Ang problema, yung iba sa atin talagang sagad na. Wala nang mapambayad dun sa mga review centers. Ang daming naglipa na ngayon na online. Yung iba masasakit pang maningil. So, as I have said, in my own little way, let me help you kahit dito man lang sa subject na to, Management Advisory Services. So, I am doing this for you. So, to make your time worthwhile, sana makikinig kang mabuti. Concentrate ka dapat, as I have said over and over again, undivided attention. Okay? This is very weird for me because this is my first time to teach seating. In my more than a decade of teaching, wait ka, computing ko nga, ilang taon na nga ba ako nagtuturo? 13 years, okay? In my 13 years of teaching in the review, I have never sat down teaching in the review. Kahit na nag-pre-board yung mga estudyante, if I was assigned to look after them, I do not sit. So this is very weird for me. This is my first time na nakaupo, nagtuturo sa review. Well, we have to make the most out of it. Wala tayong magagawa. Pero hindi ako naniniwala dun sa sinasabi ng iba na mas maganda pa daw ito kesa dun sa face-to-face. I absolutely do not agree with that because nothing can replace the face-to-face interaction with students. Iba yung rapport iba talaga pagka face-to-face compared sa ganito. Well, we have no choice. Kailangan nating gawin ito. Okay? So, as we go through the topics, just like in a normal classroom, siguro magtatawanan tayo, I hope, and I will do my very best to guide you through this subject. Okay? Yun lang yung hinihingi ko sa'yo. Dapat magko-concentrate ka rin. And kung may kakilala ka na, alam mo na, walang pang-review, hindi maka-enroll sa mga online, nagtsatsaga na lang sa self-review, i-share mo naman yung link natin, i-share mo naman yung channel natin. Pakibanggit mo lang, that is all I ask of you bilang kapalit nitong free lecture natin na to. Sabihan mo yung kaibigan mo na something free like this exists. Okay? So the work of management and the need for managerial accounting information. We have to go through all of this. The managerial accountant is the primary, though not the only provider of information required for management functions. Useful information includes historical data such as prices of materials, wages to paid employees, rent on leased facilities or equipment, costs of fringe benefits, and various taxes. Managerial accountants prepare performance reports that assist managers in controlling their operations. They also provide for probable effects of proposed actions. Here, we have first, planning. So in layman's term, planning is setting goals ahead of time. So it is the same here in managerial accounting. One assumption that I would like us to make, ngayon pa lang, dito sa managerial accounting portion, before we go to the managerial finance portion, I am assuming that you are not a reviewee, okay? That you are a manager who wants to make the best possible decision at every point in time, okay? Isa kang manager that has to make the correct decision. Sabi dito, planning is setting goals and developing strategies and tactics to achieve them. Some planning is routine, recurring, and relates principally to periods of a year or less. An important part of planning is to identify and then to select from among the alternatives the one that best fits the organization's strategy and objectives. When making this choice, management must balance the potential benefits against the costs and demands of company resources. Hindi natin pwedeng pag-usapan ng planning nang hindi nababanggit yung term na budgeting, okay? Budgeting is a plan expressed in quantitative terms. Alam naman natin yan. But we are here just to introduce what planning is. So let's not preempt much of our future topics. Budgeting is a plan stated in quantitative terms. So, alam natin that under planning, we must determine the resources needed, how to acquire them, and how to implement or use them later on. That is under planning. Okay, directing and motivating. In addition to planning for the future, managers oversee day-to-day activities and try to keep the organization functioning smoothly. This requires motivating and directing people. Managers assign tasks to employees, arbitrate disputes, answer questions, solve on-the-spot problems, and make many small decisions that affect customers and employees. Tulad ng sabi natin kanina, our assumption is that you are a manager. To properly arrive at the correct answers dun sa problems later on, you are a manager. Ayan. Controlling. Control is determining whether goals are being met. If at all, what can be done? If not, what can be done? It asks the questions, what changes might we make to achieve those goals? Ayan. Should we change our goals? Managerial accounting is used extensively in control because many goals are expressed in peso terms. So much sales, so much cost. And because managerial accountants use analytical tools to help managers understand the reason for not achieving goals. Also, implicit in control is performance evaluation. This is a separate topic. We will be discussing much on this when we reach the topic responsibility accounting. Ayan. Managers reviewing the accomplishments of their employees and weighing them, it should be them, against standards. Many such evaluations use managerial accounting information. For many managers, control reports, which often show actual and budgeted results, are the most common contact with managerial accounting functions. And very exciting yung mga kakaharapin nating topics. So, you must stay tuned. I'm very excited actually to teach. Kasi medyo na-miss ko ito. Sana magbalik na yung normal para makapag face-to-face na ulit tayo. Planning and control cycle. The planning and control cycle involves the smooth flow of management activities from planning through directing and motivating, controlling, and then back to planning again. Ayan. Comparison of financial and managerial accounting. So, there are usually two information systems that exist in a company. You have your financial accounting and managerial accounting. So, just in passing, alam natin na most of you alam na itong mga ito. But, we must have a complete coverage para comprehensive yung ating review. Ayan. Financial accounting, managerial accounting. So, alam natin, pag sinabing financial accounting, the audience here are external users, and managerial accounting, our primary users of information are internal parties naman. So, reports to outside of the organization and inside of the organization. Under financial accounting, we know that we are bound by standards. Yung mga reports natin follows a definite form as dictated by the standards. Kung paano i-prepare yung statements na yon, dictated also by the standards. However, under managerial accounting, that is not the case. Okay? Under managerial accounting, we are more concerned about the effectiveness and efficiency in utilizing resources. Yun yung ating pinaka-concern. So, planning, directing, motivating, controlling, and performance evaluation. So, dito, under financial accounting, emphasize financial consequences of past activities. Historical reporting ang primary focus natin. Dito naman, aside from historical reporting, we are more aligned with future or prediction. Ayan. Forecasting. Emphasizes relevance, timeliness. Emphasizes objectivity and verifiability. Emphasizes precision. Sabi dito. Emphasizes summary data concerning the entire, ibig sabihin aggregated, entire organization. Dito naman, it is more detailed, it is more concerned about segments or departments. Follow standards, need not follow standards. Not mandatory, mandatory for external reporting purposes. Yan. Organization structure. Decentralization. Decentralization is the delegation of decision-making authority throughout an organization by giving managers the authority to make decisions relating to their area of responsibility. The keyword here is discretion. Ngayon, how decentralized a company is depends on the policy that management keeps or maintains with regards the authority or responsibility assigned to the personnel of the managers. Depende yan yung degree of decentralization. May mga companies na sobrang decentralized, they give too much discretion dun sa kanilang manager. So, depende yan, decentralization. In relation to this organizational structure commonly depicted by an organizational chart, the purpose of which is to show how responsibility is divided among managers. and to show formal lines of reporting and communication or chain of command. More on decentralization, again, when we reach the topic, responsibility accounting. Very exciting yung topic na yan. Okay? Stay tuned. Dapat, since sinimulan mo to, dapat nandito ka hanggang huli. Okay? Okay. Line and staff relationships. An organization chart also depicts line and staff positions in an organization. A person in a line position is directly involved in achieving the basic objectives of the organization. A person in a staff position, by contrast, is only indirectly involved. So kung nasa line position ka, you have the responsibility, nakaatang sa'yo yung responsibilidad to perform the primary functions of the organization. Pagka naman staff position, yung ino-occupy mo, ibig sabihin, support ka lang in nature. Okay? Ayan. CFO or Chief Financial Officer is a member of the top management team who also occupies a staff position. The CFO is responsible for providing timely and relevant data to support planning and control activities and for preparing financial statements for external users. Oftentimes, a manager known as the controller, the highest position that an accountant can occupy inside the company, often runs the accounting department and reports directly to the CFO. The changing business environment. You have here recent developments, although not so recent. According to textbooks, recent pa rin daw. So, just-in-time production. JIT is a philosophy that focuses on timing, efficiency, and quality of meeting commitments. Companies that employ just-in-time strive for continual improvement and relentlessly search out and eliminate waste of materials, time, and space. So when we talk about just-in-time, which is actually developed, the concept of just-in-time is actually proposed. Pinakauna dyan yung Toyota, okay? Toyota Corporation. Sila yung pinakauna na nag-forward ng just-in-time concept. Alam naman natin yung history niya, so we'll not go over that na. Basta under just-in-time, ang pinaka-objective natin dyan is that materials arrive just in time for production and production finishes just in time for delivery dun sa customers who have actually, ideally, pre-ordered for the product. So, alam natin yan. Under just-in-time production, we also we cannot avoid talking about Kaizen concept. So, alam na natin kung ano ibig sabihin yan. Tama ba? Alam na nga ba natin? Okay? When we say Kaizen, it means continuous improvement. So, you have your Kaizen costing. Ayan, ha? One aspect of this philosophy is to increase customer satisfaction by reducing lead time. Advocates of the just-in-time philosophy continually strive to promote a smooth and rapid flow of materials and components into the finished products. So, one of the primary objectives of just-in-time is to eliminate inventory. Okay? If not eliminate, at least man lang minimize. But it must be stated that even the primary proponent of just-in-time concept has not eliminated inventory. Kasi when we reach financial management, matututunan mo doon na trade-off yan eh. Dun sa level ng inventory mo, cost-benefit, okay? Cost-benefit analysis. Do you have to eliminate all of your inventory? What will be the cost if a customer comes and then you have nothing to give? Stock out cost, correct? So, trade-off yan. It is a balance of cost and benefit. Total quality management. TQM improves productivity by encouraging the use of fact and analysis for decision-making and, if properly implemented, avoids counterproductive organizational infighting. TQM. This has been discussed in your minor subjects in the undergrad, correct? TQM. Yan. Process reengineering. Business process reengineering involves the radical redesign of core business processes to achieve dramatic improvements in productivity, cycle times, and quality. Business process reengineering companies start with a blank sheet of paper and rethink existing processes to deliver more value to the customer. So under this process reengineering, we have to rethink the things that we have been doing for quite some time. And under process reengineering, we might encounter some problems such as employee resentment kasi kung ano na yung nakaugalian nilang gawin before, ayaw na nilang palitan. So, pagka nakita natin that there is a much more efficient way of doing things, they might reject that, they might resent that. So that is just one of those problems that we might be encountering under process reengineering. Theory of constraints. A constraint is anything that prevents you from getting more of what you want. Ayan, constraint pala tawag dun. So kung may nililigawan ka, tapos ang problema mo yung tatay niya, ang constraint yung tatay niya. Now, what do we do with constraints? We try to eliminate them. Ayan. I-eliminate mo yung tatay. Hindi, joke lang. I'm just kidding, okay? It limits the system from achieving higher performance relative to its goal. Every individual and every organization faces at least one constraint. Napaka-conservative na statement niyan. Every individual and every organization faces at least one constraint. Yes, that is correct, pero oftentimes hindi lang talaga isa eh. Anyway, sabi niya at least one. Theory of constraints is a set of techniques developed by Eli Goldratt and his associates, popularized in his novel The Goal. These techniques address the fundamental question, what is the goal of the enterprise? For a profit-making enterprise, the goal is assumed to make money now and in the future, to maximize profit. So, under the theory of constraints, this is more on quantitative considerations rather than qualitative considerations. So when we reach the topic, short-term decision-making, incremental analysis, mas mapagtutuunan natin ng pansin yung TOC or yung theory of constraints. International Management Accountants Code of Conduct. The IMA's Statement of Ethical Professional Practice consists of two parts. The first part provides general guidelines for ethical behavior. So in a nutshell, a management accountant has ethical responsibilities in four broad areas. First, to maintain a high level of professional competence. Second, to treat sensitive matters with confidentiality. Third, to maintain professional integrity. And fourth, to disclose information in a credible fashion. So IMA principles, sabi dyan, the overarching ethical principles include honesty, fairness, objectivity, responsibility. Always take note of enumerations of 4 because in the board exam, you have 4 choices always. So take note always of enumerations of 4. Honesty, fairness, objectivity, and responsibility. So sabi dito, yun yung principles. Okay? Standards, number 1, competence. Most of these are self-explanatory. Competence. Tama? Confidentiality, integrity, and objectivity. So, we don't have to read all of this. These are standard textbook materials. Dun sa, usually, first chapter ng Managerial Accounting book mo, sigurado nakalista yan. Yung IMA standards. Hindi po pwedeng mawala yan. So, competence, let us read some of the bullet points. Management accountants have a responsibility to, first, maintain an appropriate level of competence by ongoing development of their knowledge and skills. Competence, okay? Very self-explanatory. Confidentiality, to refrain from disclosing confidential information acquired in the course of their work except when authorized, unless legally obligated to do so. Okay? Integrity, to avoid actual or apparent conflicts of interest and advise all appropriate parties of any potential conflict. 4. Objectivity. Management accountants have a responsibility to, first bullet point, communicate information fairly and objectively. So you have to read the others, hindi porque hindi natin binasa. Hindi mo nababasahin kasi iba yung recall mo eh. Pagka nabasa mo yan, nandyan na at the back of your head, nasa subconscious mo na kumbaga. So pag nabasa mo siya at na-encounter mo siya dun sa board exam, nabasa mo yan. So there will be a greater chance na makukuha mo yung correct answer. Next section, resolution of ethical conflicts. In applying the standards of ethical conduct, management accountants may encounter problems, identify unethical behavior, or in resulting ethical conflict. When faced with significant ethical issues, management accountants should follow the established policies of the organization bearing on the resolution of such conflict. If these policies do not resolve the ethical conflict, management accountant should consider the following courses of action. So, if these policies do not resolve, first, bullet point. Discuss such problems with the immediate supervisor except kung yung supervisor mo ang involved. Ayan. Alam naman natin yan. Tama? Very common yung procedure na yan. Kahit sa auditing theory mo, nababanggit din yan. The immediate supervisor or kung yung supervisor mo mismo yung involved, one level higher. Okay? Next, clarify relevant concepts by confidential discussion with an objective advisor to obtain an understanding of possible course of action. Third, if the ethical conflict still exists after exhausting all level of internal review, the management accountant may have no other recourse on significant matters than to resign. Okay, final option yan. From the organization to submit an informative memorandum to an appropriate representative of the organization. Ito yung by the books. Pero practically, hindi nangyayari yan eh. Pagka alam mong malaki yung problema, okay, sa real world, yung iba sa atin, hindi yung iba, yung karamihan sa atin talagang resign. Resign na lang kagad yung inuuna. Tama? Kasi marunong tayong makiramdam eh. Except where legally prescribed communication of such problems to authorities are not employed or engaged by the organization, or individuals not employed or engaged by the organization is not considered appropriate. So madalas matanong yan sa theory, tama? May choice doon na sasabihin, punta ka daw sa media, tama? O kaya isumbong mo kay Tulfo, ayan. Medyo hindi magandang step yon. Do not do that, do not disclose information about the company, not unless you are legally obliged to do so. Yun yung sabi. Okay? Let us go to the exercises. Una muna, yung true or false natin. Number 1, decision-making is a distinct management activity that should be separated from planning, directing, and motivating, and controlling decisions. Our answer for number 1 must be false. Okay? Ang sabi kasi dito, is a distinct management activity, po pwedeng true pa yan, that should be separated, hindi na po pwedeng maging true pa yan. Kasi, decision-making, planning, directing, motivating, and controlling activities, magkakasama yan. Okay? One affects the other, and you cannot separate or isolate one from the other. Number 2, when carrying out their directing and motivating activities, managers mobilize the organization's human and other resources so that the organization's plans are carried out. That must be true also. True pala, kasi false yung number 1. Number 3, when carrying out planning activities, managers rely on feedback to ensure that the plan is actually carried out and is appropriately modified as circumstances change. Okay? That is true or false? False. Okay, hindi planning activity ang tinutukoy dito. Kung tinitignan mo kung anong nangyari, through feedback, okay, and appropriately modifying as circumstances change. That is not planning activity. That is more of controlling activity. Okay? Number 4, when carrying out their controlling activities, managers select a course of action and specify how the action will be implemented. Mukhang baliktad yata kasi yung number 4, false din. This is more on planning and not controlling activities. Okay? Number 5, the controller occupies a staff position in the organization. Of course, that is correct. True yung ating number 5. Number 6, persons occupying staff position provide support and assistance to other parts of the organization. Of course, that is correct. True. 7, informal relationships and channels of communication often develop that do not appear on the organization chart. Correct. True yan. Ayan. Number 8. Managerial accounting places less emphasis on precision and more emphasis on flexibility and relevance of data than does financial accounting. That is true. Number 8. 9. Managerial accounting is not concerned by generally accepted accounting principles. That is the old term. Ang ibig lang sabihin niyan, standards. That is true. Correct yan. Number 10. Just-in-time is a production system in which units are produced and materials are purchased only as needed to meet actual demand of customers. That is also correct. Ideally, ganun sana, no? Ang ma-purchase mo lang kung ano lang yung kailangan mo. Dumating siya kung kailan mo kailangan, matapos yung production kung kailan dapat siya matapos in time for delivery. Very idealistic. Yun yung ating thought for that is the ideal for just-in-time. 11. In a just-in-time system, the flow of goods is controlled by a push approach in which partially completed units are pushed forward to the next workstation as soon as work is completed on the prior station. That is false. Hindi po push. Actually, this is pull dapat. Okay? Push system or the push approach is the traditional approach. Just in time is not the traditional approach. It's more of a pull approach rather than push approach. Ayan. Number 12. There is a greater danger of undermining employee morale, nabanggit natin ito kanina, with process reengineering than with total quality management. Number 12 is correct, true. Ano ba sabi natin sa process reengineering? Sabi natin kanina, it is rethinking. You get a blank sheet of paper, you rethink the processes that you usually do for some time. So, sabi natin, if you found out that a process is much more efficient, much more effective, you may face a problem with regards to resentment of employees kasi baka i-reject nila or i-resist nila yung bagong idea. Kasi i-rethink mo yung mga old processes under process reengineering. Not unlike in total quality management. 13. Total quality management involves a focus on serving the customer and systematic problem solving using teams made up of frontline workers. 13 is true. Ayan. 14. The plan-do-act-check cycle involves applying the scientific method to problem solving. Answer is correct also. True for number 14. 15. In process reengineering, a business process is diagrammed in detail, questioned, and then completely redesigned in order to eliminate unnecessary steps, reduce opportunities for error, and reduce costs. Number 15, that is correct. Okay? Talagang parang reformatting, kumbaga, pagka-process reengineering. There is more possibility of resentment from the employees, tulad ng sabi natin. 16. In just-in-time purchasing, as many suppliers as possible are used. As many suppliers as possible are used. So as to avoid relying too much on a few suppliers. Kabaliktaran actually. Okay? So number 16, the answer must be false. Under number 16, you evaluate the suppliers carefully. Okay? Talagang masinsinang evaluation. If they would qualify, if they are capable in providing the resources that you need. Under just-in-time concept, dapat yung supplier ready na mag-deliver on short notice. It is characterized by few suppliers that are reliable and are able to deliver materials on short notice. Okay, just-in-time companies often go as far as sending their own engineers dun sa planta ng suppliers to teach them kung paano gawin, kung ano yung kailangan ng company to improve reliability. Ayan. So number 16, false. 17. Efforts designed to increase the rate of output should generally be applied on non-constraint workstation. Of course, 17 is false. Okay? Kung ano yung constraint, dapat yun yung pinagtutuunan mo ng pansin, hindi yung non-constraint. Kasi wala tayong problema dun eh. Yung constraint ang problema natin. So, dapat efforts must be toward the constraining factor. 18. The standard of ethical conduct promulgated by the Institute of Management Accountants, IMA, specifically states, among other things, that management accountants have a responsibility to disclose fully all relevant information that could be reasonably or that could reasonably be expected to influence an intended user's understanding of the reports, comments, and recommendations presented. Of course, number 18 must be true. 19. So you should read yung mga nabanggit natin kanina, IMA standards. 19. The standards of ethical conduct promulgated by the Institute of Management Accountants specifically states, among other things, that management accountants have the responsibility to inform responsible journalists. Wala tayong ganyan na tinuro. Hindi po pwede yan. You should only disclose to outside parties if you are legally obliged to do so. Usually, that is done in court, not to journalists, as is stated here. So, 19 must be false. Number 20, last one. Work in process inventories consist of units that are only partially completed, correct? And will require further work before they are ready for sale to customers. Very simple, basic, true. Number 20. Okay, let us go to the multiple choices. Number 1. The controller of a company or other organization is, letter A, a staff manager, B, an operating manager, C, an accountant, not a manager, D, a natural manager. Okay? The correct approach here, class, pagka may handout ka, tama? Huwag mong i-check dito, example, kung ano yung sagot mo, or huwag mong bibilugan yung tingin mong correct answer. The correct approach, suggestion lang naman kung gusto mong sundan, tama? Example, ang sagot mo, letter E, isusulat mo siya sa gilid. Huwag mong bibilugan o kaya e-exan o gagawan ng markings dito. Kasi, pagka binalikan mo yung handout mo, mas magandang hindi mo nakikita kaagad yung correct answer. Ilalagay mo sa gilid para kukuha ka ng papel, kunwari, tatakpan-takpan mo muna siya, titignan mo yung question, wag mo muna ang titignan yung answer. To test your recall, okay? Kung naaalala mo pa ba yung answer doon. So, I suggest, dito mo siya sa gilid isusulat. Now, bago sabihin ni Sir Dave yung correct answer, dapat sa loob-loob mo, meron ka ng sagot. Kumbaga, i-pre-pre mo, uunahan mo ako, pangungunahan mo na yung answer. Okay? Huwag kang maghihintay ng correct answer. Dapat, uunahan mo na. Bago sabihin yung answer, dapat may sagot ka na sa loob-loob mo. Okay? Ayan, so nasagot natin dito sa number 1. Answer, of course, is letter A, okay? Alpha. Next, number 2. Which item is not an IMA standard for ethical conduct? A, integrity. B, competence. C, loyalty. D, objectivity. Very obvious naman yung answer. So sabi natin kanina, take note of enumerations of 4. Tama? Mamaliin nung examiner yung isa, yun yung magiging sagot. Sabi nga ng isang reviewer ko noon, batibot lang yan eh. Alin-alin ang naiba. Ayan, pansinin. Yun yung sabi. So, sa number 2, very obvious, the answer must be letter C, loyalty. Okay? Number 3, which statement about the degree of detail in a report is correct or true? Okay? A, it depends on the level of the manager receiving the report. B, it may depend on the frequency of the report. C, it depends on the type of manager receiving the report. Letter D, all of the above. Ang sagot natin dito must be choice letter D. Delta is the correct answer. Okay? Number 4. Managerial accounting is similar to financial accounting in that A, both are governed by generally accepted accounting principles. B, both deal with economic events. C, both concentrate on historical costs. D, both classify reported information in the same way. Okay? Number 4, answer letter B. Bravo. Both deal with economic events. Tama ba? Tumatama ba yung sagot mo? Ayan. Number 5. Managerial accounting differs from financial accounting in that it is A, concerned with the future. B, more concerned with segments. C, less constrained by rules and regulations. Answer, letter D. Delta, all of the above is the correct answer. Very obvious naman eh. Okay? Madadali. Sa board exam class, minsan, sa sobrang dali nung tanong, magtataka ka, magdududa ka patuloy sa sarili mo. Titignan mo, lalo na sa problem solving. Titignan mo, naku, talaga bang ito yung tanong? Baka naman may trick. Sobrang simple. Kala mo, in the board exam, half, if not more than half, are easy questions. Okay? 1/4 will be average to difficult. Yung other 1/4 na remaining, yun talaga yung mahirap, pero hindi naman sobrang hirap. Talagang achievable naman, doable naman. At doon sa 1/4 na mahirap na yun, doon yung mga sobrang hirap. Siguro isa or dalawa, tatlong mga tanong. Pang-separate lang dun sa mga ordinary passers versus the top-notchers. Ganun yun. Huwag kang kakabahan. Pero pag puro madadali naman yung alam mo, that would not be enough to make you pass the board exam. Kaya dapat, alam mo din yung mga average to difficult questions. Okay? Number 6. Nagsasabi lang ako ng totoo. Okay? Number 6. One of the ways managerial accounting differs from financial accounting is that managerial accounting, letter A, is bound by generally accepted accounting principles. B, classifies information in different ways. C, does not use financial statements. D, deals only with economic events. Differs from financial accounting. Yun yung sabi. Okay? Answer in number 6 must be letter B. Bravo. Classifies information in different ways. Iba kasi yung cost classification natin pagdating sa managerial accounting compared sa financial accounting. Under financial accounting, functional classification eh. Under when we're talking about cost, okay? Usually functional classification. Pag managerial accounting, behavioral eh. More on that when we reach the next topic. Okay, number 7. Which is not normally performed by managerial accountants. Which is not normally performed by managerial accountants. A. Assisting managers to interpret data in managerial accounting reports. B. Designing systems to provide information for internal and external reports. D. Gathering data from sources other than the accounting system. C yun. D. Deciding the best level of inventory to be maintained. Answer, letter D. Deciding the best level of inventory to be maintained. Managerial accountants are occupying staff position. So, we may suggest, but we actually do not decide on the best level of inventory to be maintained. Okay? Number 8. Conventional and just-in-time manufacturers both, letter A, maintain large inventories of their products. B. Sell only to other manufacturing companies. C. Desire to meet customers' deadlines. D. Require about the same amount of space to operate. Our answer for number 8 must be choice letter C, of course. Both conventional and just-in-time, we desire to satisfy the customers. Tama? Mali yung iba, maintain large inventories of their product, ayaw na ayaw, galit ang just-in-time sa inventory. Sell only to other manufacturing companies, hindi yan characteristic ng either conventional or just-in-time. Require about the same amount of space, actually just-in-time hindi eh. Okay? Yung just-in-time, nagsimula yan sa Japan, Toyota Corporation nga or Toyota Company. After the World War, kasi na-realize nila, pagka madami sila, ito, a brief background on just-in-time. Na-realize nila, madami silang materials na nasa labas, masikip yung kanilang operating spaces. So, naisip nila, what if, kasi pag nasa labas yung mga materials mo, ang daming risk, tama? Siyempre, baka masira, kailangan mong mag-hire ng bantay, others. So, naisip nila, ano kaya, dumating yung materials just in time for production. Okay, ilabas natin yung mga nagawa natin just in time for delivery. So, yung sinasabi nito, dito, na same amount of space, hindi. Typically, just-in-time manufacturers require only small space as compared to conventional manufacturers. Okay? Number 9, classifying cost by behavior. Medyo na-preempt yung next topic. Letter A, associated primarily with financial accounting. Nabanggit na natin kanina na hindi ito. Not relevant to a company that has only selling expenses. Walang sense yung choice na yan. C, common in reports prepared for external readers. So, financial accounting yan. Number 9, none of the above. So, sa number 9, letter D ang correct answer, none of the above. Now, take note. Ang sabi, okay, hindi na daw magbibigay sa board exam ng none of the above na choice. All of the above po pwede daw. Kaso, nangyayari pa rin eh. Minsan sinasabing hindi na magbibigay, pero minsan nangyayari pa rin yung none of the above. Alright? There has also been a case before, kwento ng mga reviewee, na meron daw choice na all of the above, pero ang nakapwestuhan ay letter B. So kung A, B, C, D, yung all of the above nandito sa letter B, nakalagay all of the above. So ano ibig sabihin nun? Pagka sinagot mo yung letter B, ibig bang sabihin nun ang sagot mo yung letter A? Ha? Sa board exam kasi, mga kasama, mga kapatid, hindi lang yung problems ang ginajumble nila. Kung set A ka, set A, set B, alright? Pare-parehas kayo ng tanong. Kaso yung number 1 mo, pwedeng number 15 naman dun sa kabilang set. Hindi lang yung problems ang ginajumble nila, pati yung choices. Nagkataon na jumble nila yung choices ng ganyan. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Ibig bang sabihin yan yung A lang ang correct answer pag all of the above? Hindi ganun yun. Gamitan mo common sense. Pag sinabing all of the above yan, normally it is found sa letter D, correct? All of the above here means all of the choices pa rin. Okay? Ganon yung correct interpretation. Isa pa, may nangyari na rin sa board exam. So, I am sharing my actual experiences with you. Na not necessarily personal, pero yung mga na-encounter din ng mga reviewees namin before. May nangyari pa na letter A and B, same yung nakalagay na amount sa choice. So, example, ito ay 1 million. Yung letter B, 1 million din. Letter C, 1,500,000. Letter D, 1,750,000. E nagkataon, ang correct answer pa daw ay 1 million. So, alin kay A at B? Okay? Ang correct answer. Well, we raised that before dun sa lumang BOA when we had meeting. Kasi habang nag-exam kayo dun sa loob, noon, nung previous set ng examiners, nandun naman kami sa labas, yung mga reviewers, magkakasama, magkakakilala din naman kami, magkakakilala lahat ng yan. We are friends actually. Nagmi-meeting kami dun sa loob, dun sa Kunanan Bookstore, kung alam ninyo, dun sa may UE. Ayan. So, we raised that before dun sa group of examiners na yon, and their advice, dapat daw ang isasagot mo yung una. Okay, yun yung advice nila. Although you can contend, you can argue na parehas namang 1 million yan. Yun yung kanilang advice. Dapat daw yung unang isasagot mo. So, yun yung sabi. Okay? Let's go to number 10. Which is not a common accounting classification of costs. A, by the method of payment for the expenditure. B, by the objective of expenditure. C, by behavior. D, by the function incurring the expenditure. Ang tanong, not a common accounting classification of costs. So, this will be discussed extensively next topic. The question is anticipating, it is actually expecting na alam mo na. Okay? Kasi simple lang naman. Ano ba yung tamang sagot dito sa number 10? Answer, by the method of payment. Letter A. Very uncommon yan kung meron man. Okay? Na classification of cost by the way the payment was made or by the method of payment. Number 11. Which classification of cost is most relevant for income statement, now called statement of profit or loss, to be used internally? A, behavior. B, function. C, method of payment. D, object. Answer number 11, letter A. Okay, as we will discuss shortly. 12. The set of processes that transform raw materials into finished products is known as, ang sagot natin dyan, letter D, delta, value chain. 13. Income statements classify costs by object show such items as cost classification daw by object. Cost classification by object. A, tax expense, wages expense, depreciation expense. B, cost of goods sold, selling expenses, admin expense. C, asset liabilities, owner's equity. Okay, our answer for number 13 must be by object. Our answer should be letter A, alpha is the correct answer. Number 14. The period that begins with the arrival of materials and ends with the shipment of a completed good is called A, cycle time. B, manufacturing cell. C, computer integrated manufacturing. D, performance period. Very obvious ang sagot. Answer letter A, cycle time. Okay, remember that. 15. Which function is most directly related to management by objectives? Dalawa kasi yan, class, as we will be discussing in the future. So itong ating first handout, yung exercises, it is more of a test kung gaano na kadami yung alam mo, not only in this particular topic, but also in a more advanced topics. So ito kasi, management by objective, dalawa yan eh. Aside from management by objective, meron din tayong tinatawag na management by exception. This would both be discussed extensively pagdating natin sa standard costing and variance analysis, management by exemption, and management by objective. So, nabanggit yan dito kasi, ano daw ba yan? Planning, control, decision-making, reporting. Answer sa number 15 kasi ay letter A, planning, which has been mentioned and discussed kanina. 16. Which consideration influences the frequency of an internal report? Gaano kadalas ang minsan? Ayan, joke. Letter A. The wishes of the managers receiving the report. B, the frequency with which decisions are made that require the information in the report. D, cost of preparing the report. D, all of the above. So, pwede rin naman yung letter A. Letter D is the correct answer. Okay, all of the above. Number 17. A just-in-time manufacturer is more likely than a conventional manufacturer to, just-in-time daw, more likely than a conventional. Pagka nakakita ka ng ganyan, class, Mga more likely, least likely, iguhitan mo, underlinean mo, bilugan mo kung gusto mo just to emphasize. Kasi merong tendency na baka yung kabaliktaran ang maisip ng utak mo Sabi, more likely, may makita kang least dyan. Yun yung masagot mo. So, to be safe, lagyan mo tick mark, okay? A, receive more frequent deliveries of materials. B, spend less money on advertising. C, need workers with fewer skills. D, all of the above. Answer number 17, letter A, alpha. 18. A conventional manufacturer is more likely than a just-in-time manufacturer to, letter A, have a short production cycle. B, produce goods in small batches. C, hold large inventories to serve as buffers. D, none of the above. What is the correct answer? Number 18. Choice letter. Nakalagay, more likely than just in time. It is more likely to hold large inventories to serve as buffers. Sa case naman ng just in time, ayaw na ayaw niya ng ganyan. 19. The professional certification most relevant for managerial accountants is A, CMA, CPA, CSA, MAS. Number 19, the answer would be Certified Management Accountant. Letter A is the answer. Alright, number 20. A firm that is competing using a blank strategy is attempting to create a perception of uniqueness that will permit a higher selling price. Sellers of product, okay, particularly manufacturing companies that manufacture and sell their own product, employs one out of two strategies, well-established strategies, usually number 1, pwedeng differentiation strategy. Ayan. Or number 2, yung tinatawag nating cost strategy. Under cost strategy, pababaan ng cost para mababa din yung selling price mo at mas malakas yung benta mo, mas malaki yung maging benta mo. So, kukunin natin sa volume. Okay? Not unlike in differentiation strategy, yun nga, you are trying to project that your product is unique from the rest. That is why you have the right, hindi naman right, but you have the privilege, okay, to charge a higher than usual selling price. So answer dito number 20, letter D, delta. Number 21, planning and control. Planning and control are, letter A, different names for the same thing. B, basic functions of management. C, described equally well by the terms decision-making and performance evaluation. D, exemplified by, respectively, financial statements and budgeting. What is our answer for number 21? Choice letter B, basic functions of management. Bravo. Number 22. In contrast to a balance sheet, now called statement of financial position, an income statement, now called statement of profit or loss. A is for a period of time, very basic, okay, elementary. A balance sheet is at a point in time. Gives information about cash and a balance sheet does not. Is prepared after the statement of retained earnings. D has 2 columns while a balance sheet has more than 2. Matindi naman yun. Answer number 22. Syempre, letter A tayo for number 22. Alpha. 23. One characteristic of the conventional manufacturing environment is, letter A, flexible manufacturing systems. B, manufacturing cells. C, a just-in-time philosophy. D, a degree of quality control. Number 23, choice letter C, Charlie. One characteristic of conventional manufacturing environment is just in case. Gawa tayo just in case may bumili. Ayan, ganun sila. Number 24. A characteristic of just-in-time manufacturing environment, just-in-time naman, is frequent deliveries of materials, manufacturing cells. C, little or no inventory of finished products. D, all of the above. What is the correct answer? Na-discuss natin kanina, nabanggit natin, sabi natin, fewer suppliers that are ready to deliver on short notice. So, since ayaw natin ng inventory and they're just in time, it so follows na madalas mag-deliver yung supplier. Frequent delivery of materials. Manufacturing cells also, correct? So, obviously, ang sagot dito, letter D. Manufacturing cells ang tawag dun sa kumpulan ng mga gumagawa under a just-in-time manufacturing environment wherein the workers are trained to do different things in that very cell. They are also trained to make simple repairs dun sa kanilang workstations, which is called manufacturing cells nga. C, little or no inventory of finished products, primary characteristic of just-in-time. Number 24, delta is the correct answer. 25. Conventional and just-in-time manufacturers differ in that conventional manufacturer is likely to, right away, be a new entrant into the industry or its industry. B. Need less storage space than its just-in-time competitors. C. Give less credibility to management accounting reports. D. Have a longer production cycle with its just-in-time competitors. Number 25, the answer must be conventional just-in-time differ. Conventional has longer production cycle time. Delta is the answer. Under just-in-time kasi, sabi natin, it involves the concept of Kaizen or continuous improvement. Tinitignan natin yung mga value-adding at non-value-adding activities. And siyempre, yung mga non-value-adding activities, ang ultimate objective natin or goal is to eliminate them. Kung hindi naman ma-eliminate, at least man lang ma-reduce. Ayan. 26. Obtaining feedback is generally identified most directly with which of the functions of management. Nabanggit natin to kanina. Sabi natin, baliktad. Tama? If you remember. Ano ba yun? Letter A, planning. B, directing and motivating. C, controlling. D, decision-making. Answer should be letter C, Charlie, number 26, controlling. 27. The plans of management are expressed formally in, letter A, the annual report to shareholders. B, Form 10Q submitted to the SEC. C, performance reports. D, budgets. Sabi natin kanina, so hindi naman lahat nakalagay sa handout tama? Sabi nga natin, doon sa ating mga kapatid sa lower year levels, sa high school, sa first year college, not everything that you can read, you can hear. And not everything that you can hear, you can also read. Tulungan yan. So kaya, ganun yung strategy minsan, hindi nilalagay lahat sa handout para makikinig ka pa rin sa discussion. Kasi kung nasa handout na lahat yan, wala nang makikinig sa discussion. Tulad ng nabanggit natin kanina, planning, hindi makakaligtas yan nang hindi nababanggit yung budgeting, which is a formal expression of a plan in quantitative terms. Number 27 kasi ay letter D. Budgets is the correct answer. Number 28. A staff position, letter A, relates directly to the carrying out of the business objectives of the organization. B is supportive in nature, providing service and assistance to other parts of the organization. C is superior in authority to a line position. D, none of this. Nabanggit na natin yung explanation natin sa none of this kanina. Okay? Sabi, hindi na magbibigay, but it might happen. Alright, so kailangan, expect natin. Expect the unexpected. Number 28, obvious. Answer letter B. Okay? In contrast with the line position. Number 29. Which of the following persons would occupy a line position in a department store? Sales manager, number 1. Number 2, manager, furniture department. 3, manager, advertising department. 4, manager, personnel department. Ano ba correct answer dito? Line position, if your position is a line position, you are in charge with performing the primary function of the business. So number 29, answer letter B. Only number 1 and number 2. Okay? Bravo. 1 and 2. Number 30. A controller occupies letter A line position. B, staff position. C, neither a line nor a staff position, since the accounting department must be independent. Okay. D, both a line and a staff position. So number 30, the answer must be, of course, letter B, obviously. Number 31, managerial accounting, letter A, has its primary emphasis on the future. Letter B, is required by regulatory bodies such as SEC. Letter C, focuses on the organization as a whole rather than on the organization segments. D, responses A, B, and C are all correct. Anong correct answer? Dapat pinipreempt mo, sabi natin. Number 31, dapat may sagot ka na. Letter A is the correct answer. Number 32. Which of the following statements are true regarding financial and managerial accounting? Number 1. Both are mandatory. 2. Both rely on the same underlying financial data. 3. Both emphasize segments of an organization rather than just looking at the organization as a whole. 4. Both are geared to the future rather than to the past. Answer, number 32, it must be number 2 only. So, delta is the correct answer. Okay? Dito, yung number 1, both are mandatory, hindi naman sa managerial accounting. So, hindi po pwede both for financial and managerial. Mali yun. Both rely on the same underlying data, correct? Emphasize segment only for managerial accounting, not financial accounting. Geared to the future, only managerial accounting. So, letter D nga yung correct answer. Number 33. Managerial accounting places considerable weight on A. Generally accepted accounting principles or standards. B. The financial history of the entity. C. Ensuring that all transactions are properly recorded. D. Detailed segment reports about department, products, and customers. Managerial accounting, number 33, the answer must be letter D, delta. 34. For internal uses, managers are most or more concerned with receiving information that is, letter A, completely objective and verifiable. B, completely accurate and precise. C, relevant, flexible, immediately available. D, relevant, completely accurate, and precise. For number 34, our correct response must be letter C, Charlie. Relevant, flexible, and immediately available. 35. Okay, konting tiyaga-tiyaga ha. O, sinong nagsabing magiging madali ito? Siyempre, hindi. Tama. Alam mo naman na yon. The benefits of a successful, maswerte ka nga kasi anytime ma-review mo ito. Tama. And as we go on, we will improve. Siyempre, titignan natin kung ano yung mas kaaya-aya dito sa process ng pagtuturo ko sa'yo. Basta importante lang, ha? Babanggitin mo din sa iba na mayroong ganito. So that maging worthwhile naman yung time natin sa pagtuturo. Okay? Maraming salamat sa'yo. Tuloy tayo. Number 35. The benefits of a successful just-in-time system include all of the following except. Letter A. Funds tied up in inventories are released for use elsewhere. Inventory buffers are increased. Throughput time is reduced. Defect rates are decreased. Okay? All of the following except. So sabi ko, pag nakakita ka ng mga ganyan, encircle mo or basta lagyan mo ng tick mark para ma-determine mo na yun mismo yung hinahanap mo. May tendency kasi na yung opposite ang maisagot mo. Okay? Number 35, the answer would be, syempre, letter B. Bravo is the answer. Buffers are increased. Ayaw nga natin sa just-in-time ng inventory. 36. A key component of the just-in-time inventory system is, letter A, the raw materials, work in process, and finished goods inventories of manufacturing companies act as buffers so that operations can proceed smoothly even if suppliers are late with deliveries or a department is unable to operate for a brief period due to breakdowns or other reasons. Sabi dito, to act as buffers. B, to use the use of many suppliers, okay, so as to ensure the rapid delivery of production. The maintenance of a stock of raw materials so that defective materials can be replaced quickly so as to maintain high rate of... Very obvious class, hindi pwedeng sagot yung B at saka yung letter C. Nabanggit na natin kanina that companies even go as far as sending their own engineers to the plant of the suppliers para maging reliable yung suppliers, hindi na tayo maghanap ng iba pang suppliers. Okay, characterized by few number of suppliers but reliable. Yun yung sabi natin dito. So, letter B and C could not be the answers. Letter D, inventories are costly to carry and can be kept to minimum levels or eliminated completely with careful planning. Delta, of course, is the correct answer. Okay. Number 37. The just-in-time concept applies to which of the following? Number 1, the acquisition of raw materials. Number 2, the assembly of manufactured parts in the products. Number 3, the shipment of finished products to customers. Ano sagot natin? Concept of just-in-time applies to which of the following? Siyempre, lahat ng yan. Letter C is the correct answer. Pero dyan sa handout mo, wag mong lalagyan ng ganyan. Sana dito ka sa gilid. Number 38. The flow of goods through a just-in-time process or system is based on, letter A, the workstation or a workstation efficiently completing its processing of a batch of units. Sana ba tayo? Batch of units so that the units can proceed forward to the next workstation before the next workstation is ready to receive them. Before the next workstation is ready to receive them. Processing goods in large batches rather than less economical small batches. C. Maintaining a stockpile of raw materials in anticipation of material shortages. D. Producing to meet customer demand with no build-up of inventory at any point in the production process. 39. A successful just-in-time system is based upon which of the following concepts? Letter A. The company must rely upon a large number of suppliers to ensure frequent delivery. Sinabi na natin na hindi po pwede yan. The company should always choose those suppliers offering the lowest prices. Well, how about the quality? Okay? The company should avoid long-term contracts with suppliers so as to exert pressure on suppliers to make prompt and frequent deliveries. Isa pang karakteristik ng just-in-time. Ayaw natin na-renew ng contract. So, small number of suppliers, pero long-term contract, and they must be reliable suppliers. So, pwede yung letter C. Tignan natin yung letter D. A small number of suppliers make frequent deliveries of specific quantities, thus avoiding the build-up of large inventories of materials on hand. Pwede din yung letter D. Basahin natin mabuti yung C at D. So as to exert pressure, sabi dito, on suppliers, ayan, medyo crooked yung ating line, as to exert pressure on suppliers to make prompt payments and frequent deliveries. Sabi dito, should avoid long-term contracts. Sabi natin, dapat long-term. So, mali pala yung letter C. Okay? Dapat long-term contracts as we have stated kanina lang. Delta is the answer to number 39. Ayan. Wait ka, di yata natin nasagutan yung number 38. Ayan. Na-overlook natin. Ano sagot natin dito sa number 38? Nabanggit ba natin kanina? Ayan. Answer to number 38 must be flow of goods through just-in-time is based on letter D, delta. Producing to meet customer demand with no build-ups of inventory. Maintaining a stockpile of raw materials, ayaw natin yan. Okay? Economical batches rather than economical batches, di mali din yan. Alright? So, pasensya ka na. Nalaktawan natin. 38 delta, 39 delta. Alright? We go to number 40. Konting tsaga na lang. The plant layout under the just-in-time concept emphasizes, sabi natin kanina, manufacturing cells. Okay? A functional approach in which machines performing the same function are grouped together. Or letter B, a product approach in which all machines needed in the production of a particular product are grouped together. Letter C, a facility approach in which all machines of a similar nature are located in one plant building. Tama? Letter D, a concentrated approach in which the processing of certain assemblies is performed by a small number of independent machine shops under contract to the manufacturing company. The answer to number 40 should be letter B. Bravo is the correct answer. A product approach in which all machines needed in the production of a particular product are grouped together. Okay? Yun yung ating final answer. 41. Alright, may nalaktawan ba tayo ulit? Wala na. 41. The key point of a focused factory is that the flow line of a product must be straight. The flow line, letter B, of the product must be U-shaped. The key point of a focused factory. C. All machines in a product flow line are tightly grouped together so that partially completed units are not shifted from place to place all over the factory. D. Product should be moved from one group of machines to another even if this involves movement across the plant or to another building so as to exploit fully the benefits of worker specialization. Very obvious, the answer must be letter C. 41, Charlie. 42. A company adopting the just-in-time approach would, letter A, produce large batches of products so as to recoup the costs associated with setups. B. Just-in-time kasi emphasizes or features flexibility. Okay? So obviously, yung letter A, hindi pwede. Although we can avail of economies of scale, pero hindi yung letter A ang primary characteristic ng just-in-time. It is not one of the primary characteristics. B. Attempt to reduce setup times, ayan, so as to economically produce smaller batches, po pwede. C. Adopt a functional plant layout so as to enhance production flexibility. D. Require worker to become highly specialized in operating a single machine. Number 42, the answer is letter B. Bravo. As signified, we have signified kanina. 43. A plan, do, check, act cycle includes all of the following except letter A, studying the current process. Plan, do, check, act cycle. B. Determining which manager is responsible for existing problems. C. Implementing a plan on a small scale if possible. D. Analyzing data to identify possible causes of any problem. Answer number 43 must be letter B. Bravo. Determining which manager is responsible for existing problems. Exception kasi ang hinahanap natin. Except letter B. Okay? Yun yung naiba. Kasi yung A, C, at D, oo. Plan, do, check, cycle includes A, B, A, C, and D. 44. In total quality management, problems are solved by teams consisting of letter A, top managers. B, outside consultants and quality control engineers. C, frontline workers. Nabanggit natin to kanina. D, customers and sales representatives. Siyempre, letter C, number 44. 45. A danger in process reengineering is that non-value-added activities may be eliminated, some resources may no longer be required, letter B. C, employee morale may suffer, D, all of the above. Ano yung paulit-ulit nating nabanggit sa number 45, process re-engineering natin? Ano yung repeatedly nabanggit ko? Employee morale will suffer. They may resent the new process. Okay? It's just another way of saying it. 46. The standard of ethical conduct for practitioners of management accounting and financial management contains a policy regarding confidentiality that requires that management accountants, letter A, should refrain from disclosing confidential information acquired in the course of their work except when authorized by management. B, refrain from disclosing confidential information acquired in the course of their work in all situations. Minsan mukhang tama lahat yung choices. Kaso ang pinagbabatayan kasi natin, yung nakasulat dun sa standard of ethical conduct. Anong nakasulat dun? Kailangan nabasa mo. Okay? You read it, natandaan mo, you can answer. Pag di mo nabasa, masalong you cannot answer. Nabasa mo man, di mo naalala, you cannot answer. So mahalaga yung retention. Yan. C, refrain from disclosing confidential information acquired in the course of their work except when authorized by management unless, kahit hindi authorized daw ng management, obligated to do so. D, refrain from disclosing confidential information acquired in the course of their work in all cases since the law requires them to do so. Obviously, the answer for 46 is letter C. Okay? Ang sabi sa letter C, except when authorized by management. Or kahit hindi pa authorized ng management. If the court has ordered you already, sabi dito, legally obligated to do so, usually through the courts, wala kang choice. Dapat i-disclose mo siya. Number 47. The standards of ethical conduct for practitioners of management accounting and financial management states that significant ethical issues should be discussed first with the immediate supervisor unless siya yung involved. If satisfactory resolution cannot be achieved when the problem is initially presented, then the issue should be, letter A, submitted to the next higher managerial level. B, submitted to the chief executive officer of the firm. May nabasa ka bang ganyan? Submitted to the audit committee, executive committee, board of directors, owners. May nabasa ka bang ganyan? Submitted to outside legal counsel. 47, the answer is letter A, alpha. 48. Second to the last. A traditional functional factory layout results in, letter A, minimal material handling. B, large work in process inventories. C, minimal throughput time. D, low storage cost. Answer number 48, letter B, large work in process inventories. Okay? Traditional. In contrast with just-in-time and other recent developments in manufacturing. 49. An example of a performance report should be A, an income statement reporting actual results for the past month. B, an income statement showing the amounts budgeted for the past month. C, a balance sheet showing the actual financial position at the end of the past month. D, a production report showing budgeted and actual production for the past month. Example of a performance report. So number 49. Last na, kunin mo na. Anong correct answer? Letter answer must be letter D, delta. Yan. A production report showing budgeted and actual production for the past month. So, before ko sabihin yung answer, nagpo-pause ako ng konti para may time kang mag-isip. Ngayon, ang tanong, out of 49, ilan ba? Nakakalahati ka ba mahigit? Hindi po pwedeng kalahati lang. Remember, in the board exam, you must get at least 75%. Okay? 75% or better. So this ends our first topic. Huwag kang mabobore. Kailangan natin gawin ito talagang theory portion yung mga unang parts. Okay? See you in the next discussion. Alright? Thank you for listening.